And this is Bruce. I was supposed to do this yesterday, but bear with me, guys. Minor adjustments. I think I'm going to continue to do this on Saturdays, but minor upset in our normally scheduled programming. So what we're going to talk about today is a couple things. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about the news, just like 5 articles. Let's just see how it works out. If you happen to be on podcasts, great opportunity to kind of brush up on some of the cybersecurity news and stuff that's going on right now. Then I'm going to address some of the questions that I've gotten from some of you guys out there who've asked me questions regarding security, cybersecurity, and mostly cybersecurity configurations, cybersecurity compliance. All right, let's start off with news. So what I'm going to do is go to Google, and I'm going to go ahead and read the top cybersecurity news that's going on, and anything else that we catch, and give you kind of a twist on my perspective as somebody who's actually in the field right now. All right, let's start off with, I brought some of these up right here. So it is currently October, which is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I don't know if you guys knew that, but basically it's dedicated to making people more aware of what's going on and getting some education in cybersecurity. As you know, a lot of people just don't pay attention to it, even though IT and information and cyber stuff is a central part of all of our lives, particularly now during COVID-19, where people are working from home, people are working remotely more, and more of our life is dependent on being remote for school, for work, for play, for everything. So you would think that more people would think about cybersecurity, but they don't. So they kind of dedicated a month to kind of put out their information about cybersecurity awareness. So that's what cybersecurity awareness is all about. And Cybersecurity Awareness Month, one of the things that you should be aware of is that a lot of these organizations, such as Proofpoint that you're looking at here at my screen, give away free information, free training. So your Proofpoint, at least your cybersecurity companies, they'll sometimes give out free training or free downloads and stuff like that. To kind of, it's a way to actually contribute to the community, but also a way to promote their own products. So in this case, Proofpoint they're going to celebrate Cybersecurity Awareness Month in October. So to do this, we've developed 3 cybersecurity awareness kits you can leverage to offer targeted cybersecurity training to your organization. These kits include a communication plan and all employee-facing materials. So that's like all of the, if you walk into your building and you see like those posters with make sure you put in a better password and stuff like that. So those are the kind of stuff they're talking about. And the free kit, they're saying it includes phishing awareness kits, business email compromise awareness kits, working from home awareness kits. So these are just a few of the things that these kind of companies will offer you. So Cybersecurity Month, check that out. And then there's another article. Let's see if there's something else we can bring up here about cybersecurity professionals can earn $100,000 per year, and here's how to pivot with the learning attitude. Now, this is very true. This is very, very real, because this is exactly what I did to get to 6 figures, is to keep on learning in cybersecurity and keep on leveling up. Definitely worth your time, worth your read. And if you want to find this, just go to Google. It's a Forbes article, and then type in Google News, and then type in cybersecurity 100,000. This should be one of the first articles in October 2020. So it says, while top-line security jobs are rapidly expanding, they're exhibiting high wage growth. Many people are intimidated by them and of the perception of that these jobs require significant technical skills. That's true. It's definitely true. Cybersecurity is typically not something you just jump right into. It's a rabbit hole. Like, they're expecting you to have a certain level of IT experience when you go in. So there's not many entry level positions that are going to be paying you $100,000, just so you know. And it depends on where you are. If you're in a high paying place like New York or San Francisco or LA or something like that, they probably come stand. That's probably the baseline that they pay you is like $95,000 or some 100,000, whatever. But typically, you're going to have some experience in IT, solid experience in IT to get this kind of money. But let's see what this article is kind of saying here. I'm not going to read the entire thing. I'm just going to kind of skim on the main parts of it and kind of give you my perspective. So as a case study of offensive security, offensive security is ethical hacking. It's like actually doing white hat or gray hat hacking for a company. And what that means is you are doing penetration tests, and you're figuring out if there's a way to get into a company with their permission, of course, to see if there's any holes in their external network or in their DMZ, and sometimes even from inside you'll do like a scan, or you'll run different kind of Metasploit type stuff inside of the network to see if you can figure out where they have weaknesses. That's offensive security. So they're talking about the OSCP, which is one of the probably the highest level certification that you can get for ethical hacking and pen testing. Offensive security certification program, professional. This is not for people who are new, by the way. This is a very very deep and expert level of skill that they're talking about. So they're doing a case study on this. Offensive Security is one of the world's leading companies that specializes in training for a career in information security and learning options before you become an offensive security certified professional. Unlike many other providers in this space, offensive security equips people with not only technical information, but also the mindset that is centered around intellectual curiosity and persistence. All right, let's keep going here. Causes for optimism. Let me see if there's anything we can gather out of this very quickly. So it's just going into how cybersecurity people are making upwards of $100,000 a year. But you guys, if you've been watching me for a while, this is something I talk about a lot. But real quickly, cybersecurity remains one of the occupations that is the greatest wage and employment growth, not only historically, but also over the next decade. So it's going to continue to grow. For example, employment in information security analyst, also known as cybersecurity analyst, occupation is estimated to grow 31% between 2019 and 2029. I would say much more than that, as all of our life is centered, the center of our life is technology. Love it or hate it, that's the reality of it, and they need security. Security is becoming more essential to our lives. Similarly, the median earnings for 2019 in these occupations is $100,000 per year. I can confirm that this is absolutely true, and it's been going up. So yeah, great article, great information. That's absolutely true, coming from somebody who's in this field. Starting a lot of times at 100,000. That like if you're walking in off the street with no experience, then that's, of course, you're not going to start off at 100,000. Okay. Another article is, it's never too early to teach your kids about cybersecurity. Absolutely true. And I'm just going to go to the main part here. Preventing security breaches at home is one of the topics. Cybersecurity on the go, limiting exposure. And I can tell you, as a cybersecurity person, this is something I do teach my kids. Just basic stuff. It's not like I'm teaching them to lock down a Windows server or anything like that. They're not interested in IT. But the thing is, you don't have to have an interest in being an IT professional to take cybersecurity seriously. And so what I do, one of the main things I do with my kids is I will tell them, hey, don't put your real information online. Don't put your real information, your real first name, last name. Never put your location, your address. Never give anybody your phone number. So those are some of the main, but they kind of already, it's just common sense. They already know that. but I emphasize it. I make sure they know how important it is. And then another thing I'll do is that, sometimes they've had to learn the hard way. Just tell them, hey, don't download random stuff, But what I'll do is preventative. I'll tell them, I'll tell them how to get rid of malware, and then how to detect malware by going Control-Alt-Delete, Task Manager, and showing them the resources. And I'll break down the different components. This is probably way deeper than a normal person goes, but I'll tell them the different components of a system, and then here's how you can detect malware. And then I'll tell them, here's some stuff that you can use that's free, that you can download and use and get rid of that malware bytes and things like that, is what I'll have them show them. And they have used it. Let me see, control and go. But that's pretty much it. Those are the main things that I teach my kids. A lot of times kids are actually more aware than we are, older people are, as far as hiding your real identity. They're pretty good about that kind of thing and not giving your real location and things, but you should still educate your kids. So there's another article. Let's keep moving here. Centrify's new CEO has a compelling vision for the future of cybersecurity. And this dude's name, okay. Bottom line, Flint Brenton. I hope I'm Brenton. Flint is a very unique name. Flint Brenton's vision for the future of Centrify and cybersecurity in general prioritizes the need for privileged access management, or PAM as we like to call it, to become a core to the multi-cloud architectures and DevOps environments he sees pervading customer enterprises today. And it goes on to say how many CEOs, as soon as they get in, they have this vision for cybersecurity because it's becoming extremely important. And they have to take it very seriously as a part of their fiduciary responsibility to take responsibility for any kind of for the security posture of the organization. So they have to have a stance and a strategy to take their company in a certain direction as far as cybersecurity. And this guy is pretty high level. He used to be the CEO of Excel Ops, Title Software, and he was the lead engineer at NetIQ, Compaq, and a couple of IBM and a couple of other companies there. So that's what that one's talking about. Let's keep it moving. There was a really good one. Okay, here's a really good one. This is one that I thought I was going to get lost in, but it turns out it's a very interesting read. So this one right here, and this is going to be the last article, and then we'll get into questions that people have sent me. But 3 ways criminals use artificial intelligence in cybersecurity attacks. This is coming from Best Buy. No, that's not coming from Best Buy. That's the ad. TechRepublic.com. So this one is talking about bad actors using machine learning to break passwords more quickly and build malware that knows how to hide, experts warn. Okay, so this one, at first I'm like, well, we're not there yet. How can AI actually have any kind of impact right now? Are we that far yet into AI to have it cracking passwords and stuff like that? Apparently we are. So here's the thing. I'm just going to keep this very high level and very quick. I just kind of went through the article myself. So there's 3 things that this article talks about and where AI is already starting to be used to do hacking and malware and things like that. First one is data poisoning. And data poisoning, if I'm understanding it, let me just kind of skim through here. Let me see. Bad actors sometimes target the data used to train machine learning models. Data poisoning is designed to manipulate and train data sets to control and predict behavior of a trained model to trick the model into performing incorrectly, such as labeling spam emails as safe content. There are 2 types of data poisoning: attacks that target a machine learning algorithm's ability, and attacks that targets the integrity. And let me see. So it will send like fake data to like an organization to give it a different kind of impression. It'll copy that data. Like it'll say, okay, what does that data look like? It'll copy the data going in and out of a network, look at the behavior, and then it can manipulate, it can mimic it and then change it in such a way that it might fool that network or fool somebody into using their that fake data set. I think that's what they're saying. If I understand it right, maybe I'm not. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm still learning this stuff myself. So, okay, with backdoor attacks, an intruder can add an input to the algorithm that the model designer does not know about. The attacker uses the backdoor to get the machine learning system to misclassify a certain string as benign when it might be carrying bad data. Interesting. I really need to know more about it to understand it fully. Generative adversarial networks, GAN. Like some of this stuff, like as I'm reading it's like it's so new to me. But one of these days, some of these attacks are going to be commonplace. They'll be on tests. They'll be part of normal. It'll be like the denial of service attacks of today. It'll be so common. But right now, this stuff is very new, and it's being used, by the way. This is not just, I thought this was just in testing labs, but what they're saying is that this stuff is being used, but in a very small scale. Okay, anyway, generative adversarial networks are basically two AIs pitted against each other, one that simulates the original content and one that spots its mistakes. By competing against each other, they jointly create content convincing enough to pass for the original. Okay, then what do they do with that? Let me see. And then it goes on to say, NVIDIA research trained a unique AI model to create Pac-Man simply by observing hours of gameplay. So this AI observed hours of gameplay on Pac-Man and then learned how to play it flawlessly. I remember, I've seen that article. Bandos said, okay, who is Bandos? Is that the person or is that the company or did I miss something? Okay, anyway, let's keep going here. Attackers are using GANs or generative adversarial networks to mimic normal traffic patterns to divert attention away from attacks and to find and exfiltrate sensitive data quickly. So it'll mimic what's going on the network. It'll watch the traffic going in and out, learn what it looks like, copy it, and then kind of create a distraction while something else is being done in the background. Interesting. And then there's this last one, manipulating bots. Here's another one that's actually happening right now. So panelists, okay, this was all this stuff, by the way, this came out at a conference. Let me see if I can find the conference. It was called this was some kind of conference, and the NIST was there, and okay, here it is. Can be used to evade cybersecurity defenses and make breaches faster and more efficient during a NCSA, National Cybersecurity Alliance, and NASDAQ Cybersecurity Summit. That's what it was. Okay, so the last thing that they talked about on those three AI attacks is manipulating bots. So panelist Greg Foss, a senior cybersecurity strategist at VMware Carbon Black, said that AI algorithms make decisions. If AI algorithms make decisions, they can be manipulated to make the wrong decision, and that's what happened in this particular case. And they said that here's the actual case. Here's what got me. I'm like, whoa, it's actually being used right now. Foss described a recent attack on a cryptocurrency trading system run by bots. Yeah, and so some of these cryptocurrency trading systems are using bots to like trade quickly. Like it'll see a trend in like say EOS or Bitcoin or something going up, and then it'll like at a certain point, right? And then the bot, you can tell the bot to okay, if it goes down 5 points, buy. When it gets to this point right here, buy it, right? And that's what the bot will do all day long. But they're saying that if you're using AI to do this kind of stuff, it can be manipulated. And so that's what the attackers did. Attackers went in and figured out how bots were doing their trading, and they used the bots to trick the algorithm. This can be applied across other implementations of bots, is what they're saying. So that's it for the news. And just going to try the news. This is if you guys like it, then that's cool. If not, then I can move on to something else. All right. So what I'm going to do is show you guys some questions as people have been asking me. That's what we're going to talk about here. And somebody asked me status of the CAP course. They said, I have been watching your videos on YouTube and they're really helpful. Great. Good to hear. I like that feedback. I am planning to take the CAP exam in December and wanted to know if you will be having a course for that time, for any time soon. No, it won't be done anytime soon. And let me show you why. So it's just very robust. And whenever you're talking about cyber security or any kind of IT certifications, it's just a lot of information. So what you're looking at is, I'm on the third. There's 7 different domains for the CAP. And let me hold on a second. Let me just remove my face here so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Move my face. This right here is the course that I'm developing. I am on domain 3. There are 7 domains. So it's not just about me giving you information, right? That's parts is easy. Just gathering the stuff, putting it down here, and giving you an interpretation that explains it is one part of it. But also, when you're talking about a certification, you have to go into the actual questions. So in addition to a book of slides, right, a complete book of slides on each domain, and that features each one of the objectives, I also have to make hundreds of different helpful questions. So I'll have a question and answer, and the questions are going to be one of the larger parts of this whole series. So that's why it's going to take longer. And then I got to do videos on it. The videos is just a really great way to get that data in your head. So it's going to be a very comprehensive slide presentation that you could literally download and read it like a book. It'll have all of the data down here as you're reading, as you're actually going through the slides. It's not just slides. It's actually information that you can use in your career and to study for the test. So, it's very comprehensive, but it's also going to be a video presentation that kind of focuses in on all the most important pieces. And then there's a comprehensive testing of each particular domain, going by each objectives. And that's why it's not going to be done by December. I'm just being completely real and honest with you. It will go a little faster, I hope. I wish I could have it done. I've been talking about it for a really long time. So I hope that answers your question. What I think I'm going to do is go ahead and release one part of it. And I don't know if that's going to be like a cheaper price or if it'll be free. I'm just not sure yet. I've been thinking about just releasing one part for free, because that one I've already started doing the videos on domain 1. So maybe that's what I'll do. Any input that you guys have, you guys can go to my Discord channel. I'll put that in the links description below, or you can email me. If you anything that you suggest to do on this one, because I'm literally in the middle of developing it, and any kind of input you have, I do listen to you guys. So, all right. So the next question is Network Job 2 Risk Management Framework from Charlie, and he says, I am majoring in interdisciplinary studies, concentration in information assurance, also known as cybersecurity, also known as information security, computer security, many different names. Information assurance specifically points to risk management framework type work. Criminal justice and education. I am going to be getting a network security job after I graduate while trying to pass the CompTIA Security Plus. Do you feel that this is a good starting point if I want to go under risk management framework? Yes. Yeah, I would say absolutely. Any kind of technical skill set that you can have in IT in general is really good for risk management framework, really good for security compliance. Any kind of security compliance is going to help you. Whether that's ISO 27000, the international standard, or it's the banking SCADA stuff, or it is any of these things are good. Any kind of technical skill you can get. Networking in particular is incredibly helpful. It's one of the pillars of the things that you really need to know and have a very competent level of understanding for network. And the deeper you go into networking, the better, because networking literally and figuratively links everything together. So it's one of the most important technical skills that you can have. And so yes, to answer your question, to get a job in networking and do that for like a solid year, that is very good foundational information for you to get into risk management framework. The more technical you can get in IT, the better, because then you'll understand the actual risk that needs to be managed. And a lot of security compliance, a lot of security policy, GRC type people are not super technical. And that's really a drawback in my personal opinion. In my experience, it's been a drawback, because a lot of times, like, you're dealing with very technical things, and if you don't understand what you're doing, you'll make the wrong interpretation of the policies and the laws and FISMA and things like that, because sometimes it comes down to your interpretation. And so everybody's relying on you to interpret this correctly to help to manage the risk of an organization. So you're talking about pretty important decisions being put on your shoulders in risk management framework, which is why a lot of people don't want to do it, because you're dealing. I've got a friend. This guy's one of the most talented IT people that I know, and he absolutely hates cybersecurity. Does he know how to do it? Absolutely. Like I said, he's one of the most talented IT people that I know. It's like he was born with a router in his hand or something. Guy's a master especially at networking stuff. He's got CCNP, CCISP, CISSP. I mean, he's got several firewall skill sets. I mean, the guy's just purely talented and smart, and knows how to do troubleshooting very well. But he hates cybersecurity, and the reason why is because you have to deal with policy. You have to make interpretations. You have to talk to people. It's stressful, and then you're dealing with people who don't understand IT. So if you have a very strong technical background, you can explain to managers what's going on in non-technical jargon in a way that they can understand. The biggest skill set that you can do, aside from having a solid core IT background for security compliance, security information assurance, however you want to call it, CNA, certification and accreditation, ANA, assessment and authorization, whatever you want to call it. That's the world we're talking about. Policy, developing policies and stuff, writing documents and stuff like that. If you're in this world, two of the most important things you need to have is a solid technical background. You don't need it, but it's absolutely helpful and preferred. The other thing you really need is to be able to talk to people in their language. So you need to be able to interpret and translate what the technical guys are saying and be able to translate that to the managers and the C-level people. All these people speak a different language. So if you have that solid networking background, you can go and talk to the network team, the network engineers, and explain, hey, this is what we need. This is what the FSMA, this is what this security control is saying. How can we make this happen? And then you can go take that and you got to speak to them in their jargon. You got to be like, okay, well, I can see that you guys are using this particular subnet, and you guys are using this subnet mask. You're on IP address yada yada yada, which is an internal IP, which is an external IP, but we have that on the inside of it's on the internal network. Is that necessary? Can we? So you're speaking their language because you understand technically what's going on, right? And then you know the risk of it because you know the technical what is actually happening, because you've even installed it before and you've done DMZ stuff, external and internal. You know the differences between those. Then you got to take that, talk to them, understand it. Then you got to go and sit in these meetings with these managers, and you got to be able to articulate to them why we shouldn't have an internal IP, an external IP, a publicly available IP on the internal network. You have to be able to tell them in non-technical jargon what is going on. So, to answer your question, yes, any kind of technical skills that you have are very helpful. Okay, let me keep moving on here. This was a really good question. I really enjoyed this one. Just thinking about it, and it brought me back to a lot of stuff that I do. Is this thing too loud? I think this thing's too loud. Hold on, give me a second here. Seems like my gain is like really high here. So let me just turn this down a little bit. Is that a little bit better? I feel like it's like blaring. Testing. I'm just trying to fix my sound here, guys. Test. I don't know if that's working. I don't know if that's... I should have fixed this before I started. Okay, anyway, too late. All right, so the next question was mitigation statement versus plan of action and milestone, or POAM. This comes from Jose. He says, hey, Bruce, hope all is well. Just wanted to ask you something. Is it common for a validation to ask for a mitigation statement for a POAM'd item? I am confused to why I need to provide a mitigation statement for something that might not have a way to be mitigated unless completely fixed. Okay, so let me explain what he's talking about here. So what he means by mitigation statement is when you're doing risk management framework, when you're doing information assurance, when you're doing whatever you want to call it. There's many different names for it, but you know what I mean. It's IT, documentation, risk management framework. When you're doing this stuff, you have something called a mitigation statement, also known as an implementation statement. And all it does is explain how a control has been implemented. So it depends on the organization how detailed it is. I've been in organizations that go into great excruciating detail in the statement. But I've also been at some that Department of Defense type organizations that just put it in like one, it just gets right to the point. It's literally like a statement, like 1-2 paragraphs maybe, explains how the firewall doesn't have any rules or whatever, or explains how physical security has been put into place. Right, 1 paragraph. Here's what this system A has a 24/7 security unit who are armed at all times. They check the perimeter with this checklist, blah, blah, blah. Boom, done. And then it says, for more information, see this document. For more information, see this database, or whatever. I've seen that. So I've seen it extremely long where they have the whole document in there, or a short little paragraph. That's it. But that is a mitigation statement, and that's usually put into a system security plan. Plan of action and milestone is where you don't have controls. So in our example of the physical security, instead of controls, instead of the required physical security of a 24/7 guard unit that's outside the facility or something. You have an electrified fence, and you have an 8-foot electrical fence, but you don't have a physical guard unit, but the control calls for having someone physically there, right? The control in the NIST says specifically, now this is not specifically what it says, but let's just say that this is security control PE-8, and it says you must have 24/7 security guards who are armed, right? So that's what you're supposed to have. But let's say your organization can't afford that. But you're in the middle of the desert, and all the organization can afford is an 8-foot fence that's electrified, right? So you would put in this particular plan, in this particular instance, you would put in place a plan of action and milestone. That means a plan of action to fix this particular control. And so the plan of action will have dates on when you would actually be able to do this. Let's say the organization Alpha, it has a plan to actually, they're doing a contract right now, but it's going to take 2 months for the contract to be complete so that this 24/7 organization can come in and patrol the facility, right? So you have a plan to do it, and it'll be in place in 2 months. And here's the point of contact. Here's who you contact to know when it's going to be done, and it just details everything that you're going to do as you're doing it, as you're getting everything into place. The milestones are on June 1st, we're gonna put the contract in place. On July 15th, we should have our first guard unit, and they're going to develop a policy how they're going to do the perimeter checks. And on August, we're finally going to have them in place. That's a plan of action and milestone. So Jose is saying, well, we can't put these physical things in place right now. So why do they want me to say that we have a 24/7 guard unit there when we don't have that? All we have is the fence. That's it. And it's a plan of action and milestone. We already have a document stating how we're going to do it. Why do I need to put anything in this system security plan about this control that we can't meet? So I've seen this done in different ways. So I've seen it to where what you do is you will put in what you do have in place. You'll put what's called compensatory controls, which are saying we don't have 24/7 security. However, we have an 8-foot electrical fence, and that's what we have for now. So I've seen them put that in there, and I've also seen them put something like that, like a description of what they do have. And by the way, see the plan of action and milestone for more information. Or sometimes you'll put the plan of action and milestone inside of that mitigation statement. I've seen that too, where they say, okay, we have an 8-foot fence, it's electrified, and we have a plan of action and milestone in place, and on August the 15th, we will have 24/7 security at this location, on these 5 sites or whatever, right? And then I've also seen it to where they don't put any of that stuff. They'll just say refer to POAM 15, and then it's on the assessor to go to POAM 0515 to go see more information on that. So I've seen it done both ways, and the reason why you would want to put something in there is just in case when the assessors are going through, the auditors are going through your information, they're going to be reading through your documentation, and they're going to be like, okay, let's see. It says here in your control PE-5 that you guys, it's blank here. It's blank. What are you guys doing with this? And if Jose is like, well, we didn't put anything there because it's a plan of action and milestone, So the reason why you would want to put something there is so that when they're looking at it, it's like, okay, I see you guys, this is PE-5 security control, and you're supposed to have a 24/7 guard unit here, but I see you have a plan of action and milestone, but you guys do have a fence. Okay, I saw that. And then you also have a POAM, and I see a brief description here that you guys will have this in by August 15th. Okay, that's cool. The reason why I would put something in there is minimize their questions. The less questions an auditor or assessor has, the better. The better it is for everyone. The better it is for them, the better it is for you, and the better it is for the actual organization you're working for. So I would put something in there. And then I would refer to the plan of action and milestone. All right, I hope that answers any questions. But if you guys have any questions, further questions on that, if you happen to be watching this live, feel free to ask. All right, so I got another question here, actually a statement. Gain experience. It says from Marcelo, and he says, thank you for making useful YouTube videos. Struggled to get my foot in the door and took the advice of one of your videos. So I called up companies asking if I could do some volunteer work experience, and they accepted. So one of the things, what he's referring to is, a lot of times, a lot of people who watch these videos have little to no experience in IT, right? In IT security. And what do you do if you're just getting out of if you're just getting out of college or high school? Yeah, sure. If you're just getting out of high school, you're just getting out of college, or you work in a completely different field and you want to get into cybersecurity in particular, everyone wants you to have experience. So it's kind of what do you do? It's catch-22. Like, they want you to have experience, but you're trying to get the experience to get the job. So how do you do it? So what I've suggested is that look at your place of work. Let's say you're a retail person in Walmart. What you could do is ask your organization that you're actually in a gold mine, because in retail there's amazing IT at some of these stores, especially at Walmart. Amazing IT. You should ask them first. Go to the HR department and say, hey, listen, I want to get into IT. Is there a program to transfer me from here to here? So that's one of the things. If you work in a bank, if you work in a hospital, a clinic, and you're trying to get into IT, I always say, ask somebody there, ask the IT department. Say, hey, is there a way I can volunteer to do some work? Or is there a transfer program? Can I go from a medical biller and then start doing this IT work, or help you guys set up this security, this Wi-Fi in our office? I want to help. I want to learn, right? And then another thing I will suggest is if you have a church, if you have some kind of community place that you go to, and they happen to have Wi-Fi, they happen to have some IT stuff, you can volunteer your time and say, listen, I really am trying to get some IT experience here, and I want to learn. Is there something I can help you guys out with? And you're already trusted because you're part of that organization. So they might trust you to help them set up some routers, some APs, or some access points or whatever, or fix their configurations on their router or something like that, or fix their computers. They might need help. So ask them first. So when he says he's asked the companies and he volunteered work, he volunteered to do volunteers mean free work, right? The reason why that's important is because that experience, every hour of experience you get, it equals dollars. So every hour every week, month, year that you can log in, that you can put on your resume and say, I have experience troubleshooting Windows desktops, Windows laptops. I have experience, assisted the help desk update 15 laptops for IBM. Assisted configuration of malware applications, updating signatures on malware documents, or assisted updating signatures on malware software for 100 systems for the Church of Methodists or something. Like, you want to be able to put that kind of stuff, that kind of language on your resume, so that they can see, an employer can see that you have experience. You get that, you put out that free work, or low paid work. Everyone has to pay their dues. You can't just walk in to a cybersecurity or any other IT job and make $100,000. It doesn't work that way. That would be like a doctor getting paid $200,000 a year to do brain surgery having zero experience. It does not make sense. You have to put in the work. You have to develop the skills and the knowledge base to be able to do this complex, very important work for a company to protect their confidentiality, their integrity, and their availability of their data. So yes, that's awesome, Marcelo. I'm really happy for you. That's great. All right, I think that's it. Unless somebody has any questions, I'm about to get off of this thing. I had some more stuff, but I'll put that stuff together and then put some stuff out there. There was something I wanted to show you guys. I think I already did. Okay, yeah, this is the CAP course that I'm working on. If you guys didn't know, if you happen to just watch these free videos, if you want to go deeper, if you want to do a deeper dive into some of this stuff, you can go ahead and check out ConvoCourses.com, where I have courses to go very deep into some of these things that I talk about. Very deep. In other words, after you do the course, you'll be able to talk to an employer about how much you know about risk management framework in particular, because I go very deep on that one. It's not easy. It's not for people who are not willing to put in the work. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of information. But I do have free stuff on there about how to update your resume to reflect a cybersecurity type position. Little tricks that you can use. Nothing, I'm not talking about lies or anything like that, but how to market yourself. Because that's what this game has evolved into. It's where you have to market yourself to get yourself out there, to get your name known. You yourself are a brand, and that's how you got to see it. Whenever you put your name out there, whenever you put your resume, your skill set out there, you're a brand. You have to market yourself, and I show you how to do that. And there's some free courses on ConvoCourses.com that shows you exactly to do that exact thing. So go ahead and check that out. ConvoCourses.com is actually free to enroll, and I have free content that's exclusively on there. But if not, if you don't have the cash for it right now, continue to watch these. Go ahead and subscribe and like on youtube.com. I put out free stuff all the time.